Hello and welcome to the Captain's Table. I'm your host, Dawn Deckman-Moeller. The Captain's Table podcast is your passport to a captivating blend of insight and entertainment, drawing inspiration from the maritime tradition where a captain invites the most interesting minds for elevated discussions through life's thrilling journeys. The Captain's Table is a voyage through time and across topics where the truth is our North Star and laughter is the wind in our sails. Our guest today is Father Charles Era. Father Charles Era is a married Catholic priest, a licensed marriage counselor, a husband, and a father of 5 children and 8 grandchildren. He has been counseling couples for over 40 years and has prepared more than 10,000 couples for marriage. He has performed many marriage ceremonies, the most famous being the marriage of Hugh Hefner to Kimberly Conrad at the Playboy Mansion in Holmby Hills, California. He has spoken before thousands of groups, given classes and workshops, and has appeared in several national television shows like The Pat Sajak Show and To Tell the Truth. He is the author of The Grass is Greener, Where It Is Watered, From the Vatican to the Playboy Mansion. Fun fact, Father Era was a part of the St. Lawrence Catholic Church in Redondo Beach and St. Finbar in Burbank, California. My Uncle Raymond Smith and Aunt Janet had some help by him with their first adoption of our cousin Corey, and then they went on to have 4 more children, Jamie and Matthew, Peter and Brian. He also married my Uncle Ray to his second wife, June, and I remember him as a child while attending St. Finbar. Welcome, Father Era. How are you?
Oh, I am fantastic. What a pleasure it is to run my life by you. Thank you very much for inviting me to be on this program. You know, I've been around this planet Earth for 95 years. Wow. Can you believe that?
Bravo.
I was born through the power. What brought me into this world was the power of God. Yeah.
Amen.
And then the love and cooperation of my parents. God needed my parents to do whatever they did to get me going in life. So I was born in Los Angeles, California, August 27, 1930. Wow.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Bravo.
Yeah, and my dad had the best business any kid could have. My dad was a candy maker. So he taught me how to make peanut brittle, bonbons, pink and white mints, and fudge. And oh my God, so that's why when I was very young, I was referred to as short, fat, and ugly with my father, a candy maker. But anyway, when I was in the 5th grade, I read a book. Actually, I had started out in a public school system in Los Angeles, but for some reason my parents changed me to a parochial system in the 2nd grade. And then in the 5th grade, I became an altar boy. Oh, and I loved the altar. I fell in love with the altar. I fell in love with Jesus. I fell in love with communion. And what I wanted to do was tell the whole world about Jesus and God and all those wonderful feelings I got from the beautiful background I got at my St. Gregory's Grammar School in Los Angeles, California. But in the 6th grade, I fell in love or lust with one of the girls. And then, oh boy, then in those days, you couldn't become a priest and be married. So I prayed to God, God, what do I do? And one day I was at a baseball game in Hollywood, and I said to God, if I catch a baseball today, you know, like all little boys, they bring their baseball glove to the game.
Yes.
And if they catch a ball, that is their dream. Well, Babe Herman of old Brooklyn Dodger fame hit this fly ball, and I caught it. So I said to God, you win. Okay, I'll give up Kathleen and become a priest.
And you were in 6th grade? 6th grade.
Yeah. So by the time I was in the 9th grade, I registered to enter into the junior seminary. My parents were kind of against it. They said too young to make this kind of a decision. But anyway, with my rebel streak in my system, uh, I entered the junior seminary 12 years later. 12 years.
Goodness.
Yeah, I was ordained a Roman Catholic priest in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. And that was such a wonderful experience. And my first Mass was said on Skid Row, downtown Los Angeles. So very early in my priesthood, I became kind of a champion of people who were like had problems in life, losers in life, or whatever else you might want to call it. But but instead of being sent to convert the world, to China or from China to Africa to become Catholic, I was sent to the missionary territory of Redondo Beach, California. That was my first assignment.
That was tough. That was a hard one.
Yeah.
I don't know how anyone could really take the mission of Redondo Beach, California, that beautiful Valhalla.
Oh, we used to joke about it because I used to say when I got to this section of Redondo Beach, I really had a hard job as a priest because my assignment beyond the Sunday duties was to keep all the unmarried people apart and all the married people together. It seemed like everyone was having sex except people who were married to each other. But anyway,
that is really funny.
Kind of. But I also, in my first assignment in the South Bay, the pastor at the time, Monsignor Collins, was very ahead of his time, and he allowed me to carry out a progressive agenda and bringing people together, Catholics and Protestants, blacks and whites, and I got interested in the social gospel, and that's where I got involved with your uncle, Raymond Smith, because I would take these young couples and try to help them with their problems, and then in return they would try to give some of their time to making it a better world.
Oh,
and so yeah,
that is so
sweet.
And
then one of the things I found out, even though that birth control was a big issue, that there were a lot of people who were unable to have children, and they were kind of neglected in the church. So I because of my role, I got to know a lot of the young people, particularly from the local South and high school, girls that were pregnant, and what we would do is quietly arrange for them to.
I knew it was Vatican II was happening then, and I had one nun in my first 4 years. My parents were not really happy with that for whatever reason, but interesting. But go on.
Yeah, so that was an eye opener for me, because they were very supportive of me when I got into trouble for for trying to help in some of the social movements of those days, civil rights, helping the farm workers, and all those kinds of things that were going on in the early 1960s. I even became a counselor for conscientious objection for those who felt that the Vietnam War was not a war that the United States had been involved in. So I had my problems in these various parishes with all the changes going away. In fact, I think I mentioned to you in an initial interview that one day I ran into Cardinal Roger Mahoney.
Yes.
This was after I was married. Yeah, and he said to me, "Charlie, you were just ahead of your time. You were just ahead of your time." So anyway, that brings me up to my story of under the older Cardinal McIntyre, I was reassigned to Lombok, California, but then at the last minute, they said, no, we're going to reassign you to Tustin,
Oh,
California, which is where I met my first, was where I met my wife. Yeah, surely. But maybe we'll talk about that in another segment. But for 2 years, I struggled with love versus career because I was kind of moving up in the church, and I was a very popular priest, even though I was at the same time in trouble with the authorities for being too progressive. But anyway, from the Vatican to the Playboy Mansion,
well,
I'll continue this.
it's a little bit also like the famous miniseries in the 80s, I believe, called The Thornbirds. Was a famous about a priest and a love interest there. So that must have really been a struggle. I can't imagine your vocation being a priest and your heart maybe fluttering a little bit elsewhere, even though maybe no actions had been taken. I mean, does that did you actually end up going to confession to other priests? I mean, as a matter of fact, other priests go to confession to other priests. Is this correct? Because I don't know.
Well, yes. But in the late 1960s, a lot of priests were starting to add love and marriage to their priesthood. Yeah. I mean, it was a movement, optional celibacy versus mandatory celibacy. And the Catholic Church had always had married priests in what we call the Eastern or Orthodox rites of the Roman Catholic Church. So it was kind of a movement that was becoming alive. So it would be kind of natural that I would be thinking that it's right. So when I went home to tell my mother I was getting married at age 40, I couldn't quite tell her. I went home 3 weeks in a row to tell my mother I was getting married. And when I went back to the parish, my wife to be, Shirley, said, "Did you tell your mother?" I said, "No." "Well, here you are, a man of 40 years old, and cannot tell your mother that you're getting married." So I finally told her. So that was very difficult. First of all, years ago they were against me entering the seminary, saying I was too young. And then after they became the parents of a priest for their son to getting married, that was so tough.
Oh my goodness!
On them.
So So how old were you when you said 12 years later you became a priest? So about how old were you when you became a priest?
I was 25.
Okay, so 25, young, and I've seen the photos, young, dark, and handsome.
yeah.
And it was during the 60s. With all of the love movement going on, the civil rights, there was so much going on at that time. Vatican II, Latin being removed and replaced with English. From my memory, I'm not a scholar in this area, but I do remember.
It sounds like you are, Don.
Well, I remember I didn't understand the Mass. It was all in Latin, but took my Holy Communion at St. Finbar. But I do know that after 4 years, my parents asked if I wanted to go to public school for me going into 5th grade. And Vatican II was happening. I think my parents were thinking maybe it was a little bit expensive. I don't know. But they're like, well, she's only had one nun in 4 years and 3 lay teachers. So anyway, the decision was I didn't go all 8 years. A lot of my friends did. And went off to high school in Burbank also. I think it was Providence.
Where did you go to Burbank High or did you go to John Burroughs?
I went to John Burroughs, and my father went to Burbank, and my mother went to John Burroughs, and they grew up in Burbank, so I'm a couple generations there. They were born in L.A., and I went to John Burroughs. Yes, I went to a couple. Yeah. There you go.
I was so blessed in my first 2 parishes, St. Lawrence and Redondo Beach, and St. Finbar and Burbank. There were 2 wonderful parishes with a lot of families that were very close and very close. It was a great experience. A great experience for me. To me, it was the best job I ever had. I've never been the host. I've never been the host of the Kaptain's table. But anyway, the rest of my job as a parish priest was so rewarding.
Well,
So rewarding.
I love that, Father Arrow. We're going to take a segue. We're going to take a super quick break right now to leave time for our wonderful sponsors. And we're going to come right back and hear a little bit about how Father Arrow met his beautiful wife, Shirley. So stand by for just a few seconds.
Okay, we are running a car drive right now to help veterans all across America. So if you have an old car, truck, or van, even a motorcycle or an RV sitting around, you can right now give it away and help the vets. They really need your help. And your car will help support the vets and their families. And guess what? You even get a tax donation. Plus, we'll even come and pick up your car for free. And all you've got to do is pick up your phone right now and make a free call. Now is the perfect time to do something good for the vets. Give back to the vets right now for all they've done for this country. And your old car can really help them. So call the Veterans Car Donation Program right now for free pickup of your vehicle. Help the vets and help your taxes at the same time. Call right now.
800-890-1032. 800-890-1032. 800-890-1032. That's 800-890-1032. Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At US Med, we understand the challenges you face, and we're here to help.
With US Med, I can finally manage my diabetes without it managing me.
US Med offers a wide range of services to simplify your diabetes care. Personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance so your diabetes care may be covered at little or no cost to you.
With US Med, I feel confident and control of my diabetes. I can finally live my life to the fullest.
Don't let diabetes hold you back. Choose US Med and experience better birthdays, better adventures, better anniversaries, and better everything. Call now. US Med. Better service, better care. 800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. That's 800-659-7805.
Welcome back to the Captain's Table. I'm your host, Don Deckman-Moeller, and we are enjoying hearing the story of Father Charles Arrow in becoming a priest in the early 60s and his journey through different parishes in Southern California during the era of, civil rights and the love movement. So, Father Arrow, let's talk a little bit about you were able to have your vocation in such beautiful areas of Southern California. And you had mentioned that you were going to go to another parish in Lompoc, and then they sent you to Tustin. Tell us about the parish in Tustin and who you met and your struggles going up to that. I know that you said that it was difficult to tell your mom. I want to hear a little bit more about that too.
Well, oh my God, thinking about all of this, it goes back 55, 56, 58 years. And, being caught up in all of the movements of progress that took place in the late 1960s, you get caught up in it. And one of the movements that was going on, or signals that were going on, was it's time to have celibacy in the Catholic Church as being optional. I don't know that a lot of people understand the difference between celibacy and chastity, but celibacy is whether you're married or not. Chastity has to do with sexuality as it applies to your particular state in life at a particular time. So, so the concept of mandatory celibacy was being challenged. And a lot of priests, in fact, there were 20,000 priests that got married in the late 1960s. I don't know if a lot of people know that.
No, didn't know that a lot. So that's a lot of people to lose in the program. Was that in the United States, or was it more prevalent in the U.S. versus other countries? preschool?
Yeah, well, it was more prevalent in Canada, United
Yeah.
States,
Okay.
the Western countries. Uh, but it was a movement,
Wow, I didn't know that.
and when I was assigned to the Saint Cecilia's parish in Santa Ana, Tustin area, the very first day I was there, the priest whose place I was taking, all these changes happened so fast that they didn't have time to get everybody else moved around. So he was still there for a few more weeks until they could get his changes worked out. But he took me to the Saturday morning CCD program, and he pointed out a certain redhead. He said to me, "Keep your eye on that Shirley Myers. She's going to be your next chairperson of teachers in the CCD program, which was the Confraternity Christian Doctrine program of getting teachers for teaching our kids that were Catholic that were attending public school."
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and so I started working together
with Shirley.
With her. And in other words, because she would come to mass every morning, and she would pray to God that God would send her a good Catholic man.
Oh my goodness! Oh, a tall, dark, handsome Catholic man, right there,
Yeah,
right there.
yeah.
Maybe handing out the Eucharists. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I had called her into my office one day and suggested that she join the Immaculate Heart community, which was a very progressive group of Catholic nuns. They were way ahead of their time, but she got very angry and upset with me. She didn't think that's where the action was in those days.
Uh-huh.
So, but anyway, and working together, you know how it happens over a period of time. You fall in love. You fall in love. It's a kind of a gift, a wonderful, wonderful gift. So after struggling for a year and a half with love and marriage and career, love went out. So we got married, and we tried to start a family, but no kids were coming. So then we started adoption ourselves. And as soon as we started the process of adoption, my wife got pregnant. So anyway, before we figured out how to stop, we had 5 kids. So
oh wow! So
when I was first a parish priest, I would be upset with people who came late to church on Sunday. And now that I was married and having 5 kids, I don't see how anybody ever got to church on time. How did anybody? Would anybody with a family have?
You'd slip in the back. Time? No, you'd slip in the back. So, Father Era, how did you? I'm very curious. What was? I understand the conversation with your mother. Let me get back to that. But what was the conversation you had with maybe the Monsignor or someone at the Archdiocese? Who did you need to go to tell them that you wanted to get married? Tell me how that went.
I was such a popular priest that I even had the bishops supporting me. I mean, they were very supportive, and so we were friends. Bishop, who later became Cardinal Manning, was became the Archbishop of Los Angeles. To replace McIntyre. Colonel McIntyre was the one that was very arch-conservative, you might say. But anyway, I went up a couple of Saturdays to have some conversations with him about it. He was understanding of the changes, but he said, whatever I need to do, he says, if you want me to give you a leave of absence for 6 months while you work through this, that's fine.
Oh.
In other words, but you're in those days it was kind of sad because parents we're not supposed to attend the weddings of their children when they're supposedly being married outside of the church. So anyway, we had a wedding in the parish with my wife and 300 uninvited guests. You know, they got into the pulpit. My pastor got in the pulpit and said that nobody could attend the wedding. So that's when the word went out. We had 300 uninvited guests at a wedding. So anyway, it was kind of like historic.
That is historic. So did you take the LOA and did you date Shirley, or was it a situation to where you had the collar on, you go to your superiors, you tell them what's going on, they say you can either take an LOA or leave the vocation? Did you set what was the timeline? Did you set a wedding date? Did you take the collar off and then date Shirley, or how did that work?
Oh, well, that's kind of an interesting question. Yeah. Don't ever fall in love with a priest because it gets very complicated. Gets very complicated. Yeah,
I'll take note. Thank God I'm already married, because I'll take note of that.
I mean, one day we were on a date, and I was driving through Dana Point. I don't know if you know where Dana Point was.
Yeah, that's where my father lived for almost 40 years. My dad lived in Dana Point for almost 40 years. Oh,
yeah. All right.
Yes,
so
sir.
We stopped off. I had a hat on that kind of covered my eyes, and we stopped at a place, fast food place, and I ordered a couple of root beers, but nobody would know who I was, and one little employee looked when he gave me the order of root beer float. Said, "Oh, hi, Father Era. How are you today?"
Oh my God, that is so funny. You were incognito, hiding out like a celebrity, where the paparazzis would come out of the bushes. He's like, "Oh, hi, Father Era."
So,
you were popular.
Yeah, so it was.
That's
funny. It was an interesting life. Yeah, interesting life, and then but. Adding love and marriage to my priesthood, people still kept calling me on the phone to come and visit their sick relatives in the hospital, or perform a wedding, or to do this and to do that. So people still recognize my priesthood, or not that I left the priesthood, but that I added love and marriage to my priesthood. I always like to describe it that way, adding love and marriage. So rather than 6 sacraments, there's 7 sacraments. I got them all.
I love that. That is.
So there were a lot of awkward moments, but then there were a lot of moments where people said, "Yeah, you're part of a movement," and so. Every 50 to 100 years, there's some major changes taking place. Yeah.
Where was like going back to when you had the collar on and you were in the vocation? Before we move forward out of that part of your life, where were some of the most infamous places that you said mass at in the world?
Well, first of all, one of my biggest experiences, I had always, as a kid, wanted to attend Yankee Stadium in New York, and I had that privilege of doing that when Pope Paul VI left the Vatican to go to the United Nations, and then he said Mass in the evening at Yankee Stadium, and gave his famous speech in which he said, "War, never again, no more war. Mm-hmm. Oh God of love, oh God of peace. Make the world be at peace," right?
Yes.
Throughout the world, there be peace throughout the world. So that was, I'm following your question. So plus not only went from but you mentioned the Vatican and the Playboy Mansion. I was presiding over a wedding one day in Malibu, California, and without unbeknownst to me was Hugh Hefner's wife to be, because he had been a bachelor for about 30 years, and so I got a phone call from. I don't know how many of your guests ever got a phone call from a Playboy, from a Playboy, whatever they call it.
A bunny from a bunny.
A bunny.
How about
bunny. So
no, I don't know anyone that's had a phone call from a Playboy bunny, let alone a priest. Let alone a priest.
Yeah, you do now.
I do now.
Yeah. So she said to me, Father, we really enjoyed your wedding. Would you come to the Playboy Mansion and preside over our wedding? So that's what I did.
Well, let's hold on for just one moment, okay? Because this is a fun part of our show. Let me take a quick break, and that's going to leave us a long time to talk about performing a wedding at the Playboy Mansion. And also, goodness, I think you have a story with Cesar Chavez and just some of the interesting people that you've worked with, while you're being married. You have children, a family, and the work that you've been doing. But we'll come back with a story about the Playboy Mansion and the wedding of Hugh Hefner. Stand by.
This important national healthcare update is brought to you by the Hearing Helpline. Now, you can make a free phone call and save big over what you'd pay at a doctor's office for hearing aids. Plus, this offer comes with a 1-year warranty. And if you call in the next 10 minutes, shipping is 100% free. We have a nationally known hearing aid that has improved the hearing of thousands of happy customers. And you'll pay a fraction of retail hearing aids prices. These outstanding hearing aids are nearly invisible. You can even use them to answer your cell phone. And they come with a 45-day money-back guarantee. You have nothing to lose and better hearing to gain. I urge you to improve your hearing for you and your loved ones and call the Hearing Helpline now. 800-208-2172. 800-208-2172. 800-208-2172. That's 800-208-2172.
Fans of The Andy Griffith Show are raving about a brand new streaming series.
Chris Stone, what are you doing back here in Mayberry?
Your neighbors know they're living next door to a famous movie star yet?
He hasn't answered any of my calls.
That girl's headed right for Heartbreak Alley.
An old-fashioned love story in a modern-day Mayberry.
Yes!
A streaming series for the whole family.
Who's the only TV character named after 2 insects? And bee, of course.
Grandma's cat ate all the laxatives, and, well, we've got ourselves a situation.
Crazy, right?
Don't take any wooden nickels. Wooden nickels. That's a good one.
Those low-down, dirty buzzards.
It's an honor to be here. In fact, at my age, it's an honor to be anywhere.
It's a Christmas miracle.
Bravissimo.
We don't know what you're missing.
Mayberry Man, the series. Now available on Prime Video.
These people are living in another world.
Welcome back to the Captain's Table. I'm your host, Dawn Deckman-Moeller, and we are enjoying our conversation or great stories from Father Charles Era and his history, goodness, over 95 years of being a priest in Southern California for almost 20 years and meeting beautiful Shirley and getting married and having 5 children and 8 grandchildren and some of the interesting people that he has met along the way, always with his I guess one of his sacraments, he would say, the love and marriage. So let's kind of dive into, you were at a wedding in Malibu, you said, and Kimberly, who was a Playboy bunny, Kimberly Conrad, was there, and you got a phone call, did you say, from Kimberly Conrad, the Playboy bunny?
Right. Can you believe that? I called one of my priest friends, and I said, gee, I've been asked to go to the Playboy Mansion to preside over the wedding of Hugh Hefner to his bride to be. And what do you think? He said, "Oh no, Charlie, no. No, no, no. He said, Charlie, yeah, may I come and I'll carry the Bible?
Of course. Oh, yeah. Everyone comes out of the woodwork with the collars on at that time, right? Oh, you had a team that wanted to come with you and help out a little bit on behalf of the lovely couple to be, right?
So as a result of that, I got other kinds of publicity of people that wanted me to comment. At that time, Pat Sajak had a show, so I was invited to his show to talk about the wedding. And I don't know if you saw the excerpts of it, but they had me on 3 more times because they were fascinated by all the dynamics. They were fascinated by the dynamics. I mean, here's somebody that on the one hand is a peacenik. I mean, I was somebody that was trying to support the idea of nuclear disarmament. Some very serious kinds of topics that we're still talking about today.
Right, exactly. So
that's, but also because of that, I got involved in the rights of the farm workers. And even today, we're talking about all these immigration issues and all these people that are coming here and picking our food in our fields, and they're just trying to earn a living for their family. And there's all these hassles that are going on. So anyway, I was part of the movement in the 1960s to encourage supermarkets to only sell union picked grapes.
Oh.
And I had a brother-in-law that actually he managed a chain of supermarkets.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would organize women in our parish who had families and would shop at supermarkets to talk to the managers there and only say, I will only shop here in the supermarket if you have union picked grapes. So we got a lot of changes that way. And so I attribute the farm labor movement to that we made a contribution, to the dignity of the workers who provide our food. We take it all for granted, isn't that right?
That is so correct. That is a labor of love that I did not know.
And Cesar Chavez was trained by the same groups that we trained Ray Smith with. Get out there
mm-hmm.
and talk about changes.
Mm-hmm.
And Cesar Chavez became a daily communicant with the mass every day, and kind of was he gave a certain credibility, because the Farm Labor Board at that time
mm-hmm.
was not too friendly towards anybody that tried to organize the farm workers, the farm workers. So I like to feel that my life has had an impact, not only on Don, on you.
Yes, absolutely. And my family. And I know that there was a quote in one of the articles I read from a Time staff writer had said, Charlie was always known as a maverick who was very committed to his beliefs, said a priest in the Los Angeles Archdiocese who did not want to use his name. He said a number of priests who discuss Era's role in the Hefner marriage said it would be bizarre for them as Catholic priests to perform the ceremony. And they were just kind of like, I couldn't really imagine doing a wedding there, but I'm not horrified that Charlie did it. And I know that I did watch your Pat Sajak show. And audience, if you Google Father Charles Era and the Pat Sajak show, and also his name and Truth or Consequences, there are 2 extremely entertaining shows to watch, especially the Pat Sajak show, because I forgot how funny he is or was. But let me ask you, did you know Cesar Chavez? Were you with him at a important time in his life?
Well, yes. I used to, once a year, we had the Labor Day Mass at the Cathedral downtown Los Angeles. And I was part of the arrangement one year that Cesar Chavez got the award. Because they would try to bring labor management together. And I knew one of his right-hand man, Leroy Chatfield. He taught at Cathedral High School. I don't know if you ever heard of Cathedral High School.
I'm not familiar with it.
Downtown Los Angeles, the boys' high school. It's like Loyola.
Oh, yes. Just like the Immaculate Heart is the girls.
Yeah, right,
Yes.
right. Yeah. So he got very involved in it, Leroy Chatfield. So we organized with Cesar Chavez and leaders of the supermarket industry, meetings to get commitments to only pick union pick grapes. So that put pressure on the farm workers, on the owners. Yeah, because it was kind of a Catholic thing. Because a lot of the owners of the farms were Catholics, from the San Joaquin Valley.
Yes.
San Joaquin Valley. So we tried to get and they were supportive of the church in some ways, but it's like
huge contribution.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough thing. It's a tough thing.
I know, and I don't different type of a show, but I know the San Joaquin Valley is an area with big pharma now these days. I interviewed a person where we talked about where the water comes from in California. But let me ask you a question. I had made a note that, and I don't know if this organization is still around, so you need to share with our audience. The Corps of Reserve Priests United for Service is a national organization that lobbies the church for changes to allow married priests to serve again. Can you talk a little bit about that program? Is it still around?
There have been a lot of what we call reform groups in the church. And there's been 3 or 4 groups that were supporting optional celibacy. One of them was celibacy is the issue, and that was the woman who started that group tried to get a priest to visit her mother, and there was none available except there were a lot of priests that were married. So she found out, well, why don't we use these priests to provide help for the sick, that sort of thing. And then there was, Society of Priests for Free Ministry. That was another group. And then Corpus, like you just brought up.
Yes.
They were a pretty powerful group, but they have now just decided that their mission has been fulfilled. Not that it's been not that it's been accepted, but that it's made its statement.
I got it.
And it's just a question of time. In other words, there already is a married Catholic priest, but so it's how do we get that to be more official? Maybe that's the statement. Because one of the things you find out of being a Catholic is that there's what we call evolution. Everything evolves and grows and changes.
Yes.
And learning to adapt and to change. I love the church. That's what I always say. I love the church. I love all the dynamics, the back and forth, the attempt to bring about positive changes. That's happening. And so We all could. It's better to light a candle than curse the darkness. That's what I say.
Oh, that would be a great title of a book. There you go. Just a moment. We'll come right back.
Your addiction could cost you everything. Your job, your children, your loved ones, maybe even your life. Face it, you need help. Call Better Addiction Care now. It's time to end your addiction to drugs and alcohol. Help is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no matter who you are, where you're located, or your financial situation. Our network of treatment centers can guide you before it's too late and you hurt yourself or your loved ones again. We're Better Addiction Care and can help put an end to your addiction. Plus, your insurance may cover up to 100% of costs. Don't wait another moment. Your life could depend on making the call right now. There's still time to get back what addiction is taken away. This could be the most important call of your life.
Call 800-247-0941. 800-247-0941. 800-247-0941. That's 800-247-0941.
Welcome back to the Captain's Table. I'm your host, Dawn Deckman-Moeller. You know, I know there's a lot of people, Catholics or non-Catholics, that I've spoken to throughout the years that feel that it would be wonderful if they could have, priests could be allowed to get married. Maybe it would solve some of the issues that have gone on for decades in the church. What do you think about, listen, I couldn't believe that at the conclave we received a pope from the United States, out of Chicago, a Cubs fan, Pope Leo. What was your thought when Pope Leo was elected?
Well, number one, I was shocked. Yeah, that was a shock. I never thought something like that would happen. Yeah, number two, when you go into it deeper, it's that it was just kind of accidental that he happened to be born in the United States, because his ancestry included New Orleans,
okay.
and his ancestry included, a lot of, I think, 3 or 4 different ethnic backgrounds, and plus his work in the church was more missionary type, and he's kind of like, it was, in one sense, knew the setup, how to appoint people to put important positions, like the new Cardinal Archbishop of Washington, D.C., is an embarrassment to Donald Trump. I mean, his name is McElroy. His name is McElroy. What was his first name? No, I'm not sure. But he just last Sunday, a couple Sundays ago, issued a very scathing homily on how terrible the Trump administration is treating immigrants. So he's not a typical rah-rah United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
He's even though he was born in the south side of Chicago, but he spent 20 years in Peru,
mm-hmm.
and actually it's a Peruvian citizen. I don't know how much you know about that, but anyway, he seems to be a very deep thinker and very careful.
Yes.
Very careful. And now we know with artificial intelligence, we're trying to figure out, well, what is truly him or not.
Well, I have the Vatican is one of my saved websites where I could go on a Wednesday when he's doing the pilgrimage, and I've been to Rome a couple times. I've saw Pope Benedict and Pope John Paul, so I never saw Pope Francis. But I hope he has a successful papacy, and we always root for doing a great job in any role, especially a role that the Pope has over.
Well, he's trying to bring people together.
Yes.
He's trying to bring people together, and he's not trying to, anyway, so far it's so good.
Yes.
Trying to bring people together, various countries, and you get caught in the middle on all these things that are going on in Ukraine and Gaza, and oh my gosh, So, yeah. So anyway, but it's a real pleasure to talk to you, Don.
Yes, before we go, we've got a couple more minutes left. If you don't mind, I'd love if you have any good marriage advice or advice for singles and young people. What would you like to tell our audience?
I'd like to tell the two most important traits to have in life are self-discipline.
Yes. That's a good one.
And self-esteem.
Oh.
Self-discipline, self-esteem, and flexibility, learning how to handle things that don't go your way.
Very well. Very good.
Yeah. In other words, when we're talking about relationships, would be what kind of a partner would I make? In other words, what would I be bringing to a relationship? Rather than what am I going to get out of a relationship? What am I going to bring to it? And that's why I have all A's for successful relationship: attention, appreciation, affection, and acceptance. Big cemetery to bury the faults of your mate.
Those are,
we're all imperfect human beings, But I don't know. That's a big topic.
I think that's a big topic.
Yeah, mental health, mental and emotional and spiritual and physical health. How to stay positive, healthy. Try to be a deeper thinker. Yeah, try to be a deeper thinker. But also, what you're doing, being curious. Curiosity. You're bringing in all these guests and saying where they're at, where they stand and stuff, and things like that.
This is such an honor. I reached out to Father Charlie Era in 2018 when I first purchased The Grass is Greener Where It's Watered. All A's for a Successful Relationship, From the Vatican to the Playboy Mansion, little subtitles by Father Charles D. Era. And we connected then, and I made a cold call a couple weeks ago. He's out in the Palm Desert, the beautiful Palm Springs area, and he picked up the phone. And here we are today. I am so honored, Father Era, to have done this show with you today. This has been enlightening for me personally, my family members and my cousins. I just will not believe, and I haven't even shared with some of my best friends that we went to St. Finbar, and they know you. I appreciate your time so much, and God bless you and Shirley and your wonderful family and your grandkids. This has been the greatest delight for me to interview you today, Father Era.
All right. Well, God bless you. God bless.
Okay.
God bless. Okay.
Thank you so much. So, audience, go out and get the book on Amazon, The Grass is Greener Where It's Watered by Father Charles D. Era. And thank you so much, Father Era, for talking with you today. Everybody, The Captain's Table is on KABC Talk Radio on Sunday evenings at 11 p.m., 790. And you can find us on Facebook, Spotify, Buzzsprouts, and also YouTube or wherever you get your podcast shows. So we appreciate you staying with us today and enjoying the show. Thanks for joining The Captain's Table. Bye-bye.